Now let's look at the bones of the lower appendages. And we're going to start with the girdle, which would be the pelvis, or the pelvic girdle. Let me zoom back out. This is the way our pelvic bone would be situated in the body. Of course, in this roughened area would be the sacrum or sacral bone, in this roughened area. So your bones would sit like this, anterior to posterior. Each os coxa bone is actually 3 bones that fuse together. This big fanned out area is the ilium. The part where you would sit is the ischium. And the part that comes together in the front is the pubis. The ilium, the ischium, and the pubis. So let's look at some structures we can find with this os coxa bone. This is the iliatic crest. And if I go, my finger kind of goes down into a notch. So I always like to go in a methodical way. So I go across the iliatic crest. I go into this notch. This is where the sciatic nerve runs, so this is the sciatic notch. This is a spine. It's like a thorn. It's part of the ischium, so it's the ischial spine. This hole where big blood vessels will pass and nerves will pass down into the thigh is the orbitrator foramen. To me, I see that O, orbitrator foramen. And then back here is the socket for the ball and socket of that hip joint. Now that one sometimes is hard to remember, so let me see if I can help you out. I said that when you sit on your ischium, right? So this is where you sit, and this is a hole near where you sit. Think about a hole near where you sit. And so this is called the acetabulum. Acetabulum is the socket for the ball and socket. So those are the structures you have to know with the hip bone. So let's go to that largest bone in the body, which is the femur. So we have to decide which is the front and the back of the femur. These 2 big trochanters are always on the back. But let me go on to, and you see the big notch. That's going to be the notch for the knee. So the big notch is on the back. So let's start on this posterior view. This, of course, is the head of the femur. It sits on the neck. You have the greater trochanter, the lesser trochanter, and if you continue down the back, you have a roughened spot called the gluteal turbosity. That's where the gluteus maximus muscle will attach. And then you have this less prominent ridge, a line that goes down the back of the femur. That's the linea aspera. And so now on to the back of what is the knee joint. So we know the back of the knee is popliteal or popliteal, whichever you prefer. So this is the popliteal surface. These 2 structures are condyles. These are condyles. I'm just going to turn my bone over to the front side so you can see that they look like 2 knuckle-like projections. So which one is medial and which one of them is lateral? Well, I have to go back up and see where my ball is. My ball is always going to be medial. So that means that this will be my medial condyle, and this will be my lateral condyle. Do you see the structure sitting on top of the condyles? Those are epicondyles. So this is lateral epicondyle and medial epicondyle. And this notch or groove is the intercondylar notch or groove. This surface where the kneecap is going to set is the patellar surface. Now in a lot of pictures and in skeletons, you'll see that patella sitting on top of that femur. It doesn't actually articulate with the ligament to that femur. It more is a resting, the patella is more at a resting place. Let me get my patella here. And so it kind of rests on top of the femur, but it's actually attached by a ligament to the tibia, the big lower leg. So let's look at the tibia and the fibula, the 2 lower leg bones. I'm going to try to hold them for a minute, kind of the way they would appear in the body. So we have the distal ends of the tibia and the fibula, and the anterior ends, tibia and fibula. The tibia is the bigger the shin bone. And you see this process that goes down and helps to stabilize the ankle. It's called a malleolus. Since this tibia is medial, you can say medial or tibial malleolus. And right here is going to be the tuberosity where that patella attaches to the tibia. So this is the tibia. It is the big bone of the lower leg. This is the fibula, and it also has an extension, which is a malleolus. And so it's going to be lateral, the fibula. If you think about a little I as a fib, and it ends with la, so it tells you that this bone is lateral. Fibula, la, la, la is what I like to think. So those are the bones of the lower leg. And so if I have them together somewhat, the way they would appear in the body, then those two malleoli are going to help to stabilize the ankle joint. So let's look at the bones of the ankle. So this great big one, you may already know because you know the heel bone. You know the word that means heel. Calcaneal is the heel. So this big bone is the calcaneus bone. This bone that sits on top that's going to articulate with the tibia. Tibia starts with a T. This one starts with a T. It's the talus. If you look at the other ones, this one is kind of like a square or a cube. It's called the cuboid. This one looks like an upside-down boat. An upside-down boat. People that ride around in boats are sometimes in the Navy, so it's a navicular. And then these three are block-shaped, kind of like the Egyptians wrote in block letters, cuneiform letters. This is cuneiform 1, 2, and 3, or the medial cuneiform, the intermediate cuneiform, and the lateral cuneiform. These are metatarsals. The ankle bones were tarsals collectively, and then these are phalanges. Distal and proximal phalanx on the big toe. All the other ones have 3. So that means we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 14 times 2, that means we have 28 phalanges in the feet, 28 phalanges in the hands, and so we have 56 phalanges total. And those are the bones of the appendicular system.